Hello dear aspirants of KPTCL AE exam. ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಟೆಕ್ ಟಾಕ್ today electric tech in ಕನ್ನಡಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. As you all know that the KPTCL AE exam is going to commence in the month of July. So as a part of preparation, we shall discuss PGCET 2019 question paper solution. The questions are selected so that it is applicable to the electrical sciences only, so that it will be helpful for all the candidates. So first question is, MOSFET can be used as what? You can just look into the solution, whether it is current controlled capacitor, whether it is voltage controlled capacitor, whether it is voltage controlled inductor, or whether it is voltage controlled inductor. So basically a MOSFET acts like a MOS capacitor, and we also know that the MOSFET can be controlled by the input gate to source voltage. Okay, so from these two sentences we can mark two important keywords, that is, it acts like a capacitor and basically it is a voltage controlled device, right? So from this we can mark the correct answer that MOSFET can be used as a voltage controlled capacitor. Can be used as a voltage controlled capacitor. Let us look into the next question. A number is expressed in binary 2's complement as 10011. So we need to find out its equivalent decimal value. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to see the given data, and from the given data the rightmost bit, if it is 1, it represents that the number is negative. As we can see here, this is 1, so it is expected that whatever the answer we shall get, it must be negative number. So if the number is 0, then it indicates that the number is positive. Since the rightmost bit here is 1, it must be a negative number. Let us look into the solution further. Left bits are toggled. So if we leave that, then what are the numbers available? 0, 0, 1, 1. So we need to toggle it so that it becomes 1, 1, 0, 0. Now we need to add 1 to this number so that the solution becomes 1, 1, 0, 1. So what is this 1, 1, 0, 1? So if I can just write here 8, 4, 2, 1, then we are able to understand that the solution is 8 plus 4, 12, 12 plus 1 is 13, 13. And since already we have identified that from the rightmost bit, which is 1, mean to say that the answer must be negative. So that the final answer expected for this question is minus 13. Okay, so whatever you have got, it must be minus. So it is option C. Okay, option C, which is minus 13, is the answer for this question. Next is about the microprocessor, and it is with respect to the interrupt. Okay, it is given that there is a certain interrupt. It starts from a fixed location of a memory and which cannot be externally set, but the interrupt can be delayed or rejected. So what is the type of interrupt we need to identify? Okay. So let us try to understand the meaning for non-maskable, maskable, vectored, non-vectored. Then we can be able to identify the correct answer. So the meaning for vectored input is, as we know that there is a certain standard, that is the interrupt is in a particular direction, that is, it directs the processor for the interrupt service routine. So since it is directing the interrupt service routine, we can say that there is a fixed notion, there is a fixed direction, right? Now, what is the meaning for maskable? Okay, so when it comes to the concept of maskable, the services of such interrupts can be stopped. The services of such interrupts can be stopped from being serviced, but the stopping can be temporarily, that is maskable. Okay, the service can be masked for a while. It is the meaning for maskable. Now the third one is called as non-maskable. That is, the service cannot be delayed. Okay, the service cannot be delayed is called as non-maskable interrupt. So hence a given interrupt, what kind of interrupt is we need to identify, right? So as you can see here, it starts from a fixed location. Since it is with respect to fixed location, of course it must be a vectored one. Okay, it must be a vectored. Along with that, as if we can just look at the other part of solution, which cannot be externally set, but the interrupt can be delayed or rejected. So the interrupt which can be delayed, okay, so please try to understand that it is given that the cannot be extended, but the interrupt can be delayed or rejected. Interrupt can be delayed or rejected, right? Now what is the meaning for delayed or rejected? So as you can see here, the interrupt can be stopped or delayed temporarily. Mean to say that this sentence indicates that it is a maskable one. It is a maskable one. So the expected answer is the kind of interrupt which we are speaking about in this particular question is a maskable and vectored kind of interrupt. Okay, there is a fixed direction and it can be stopped or it can be delayed. So the correct option is C, which is maskable and vector. Let us look into the next question. A microprocessor is 3 MHz oscillator, the duration of 1t state. Okay, the duration of 1t state, it is 1 divided by here, which is 1 divided by 3 MHz. So the solution for this will be 0.33 microseconds. Okay, the correct option is option C. Let us look into the next question, friends. Microprogramming is a technique commonly used to implement, whether it is related to data path or a cache memory or control unit or other things. So what is the meaning for microprogramming? We shall try to understand first. Microprogramming technique is basically used to implement the control logic. Okay, this is basically used to implement a control logic, which is very important. This control logic is very important to execute the instructions. Okay, it is necessary to execute the instructions. So with this write-up of microprogramming, we can identify that the correct and the expected answer is option C, which is microprogramming technique commonly used is to implement control unit of a processor. Friends, it is advisable for you all to write up the question and the complete solution so that your preparation becomes very easy and in a dedicated manner. Let us look into the next question, friends. It is a comparison of RISC architecture versus CISC architecture. Okay, so whether what is the a number of instructions or interrupts or cache memory or address line when I compare CISC with RISC. So generally, the architecture of CISC contains, as you can see here, larger set with variable size of instruction for CISC. Whereas for RISC, as you can see here, it executes smaller set. RISC executes smaller set of instructions with fixed size of instruction length. Since the smaller set of instructions are there with fixed size of instruction length, obviously the correct answer for this question is less number of instructions, that is option C. It is neither related with the cache memory nor related with the address lines. So two capacitors are connected in series, that is 60 microfarad. These capacitors which are connected in series is again connected in a parallel to another capacitance of 16 microfarads. Okay. We need to calculate the total capacitance of this combination. Okay, the question is about capacitor. They are connected in series. Their combination is connected in parallel to another capacitance. So the question asked is, what is the equivalent capacitance? Okay, remember that all of them are of 16 microfarad each. So whenever the capacitors are connected in series, total capacitance can be obtained by the given formula, right? So the solution expected here is, for series, it is C1 C2 divided by C1 plus C2, which is 16 into 16 divided by 16 plus 16. So if we can solve for this, then we'll get this answer as 8 microfarad. That is, this combination given over here, right? If I can solve for this, it will be 8 microfarads. So whenever the capacitance are connected in parallel, just we need to add them. That is, we already had a solution of 8 microfarad plus parallel means I need to add, as per the formula marked here, it will be 8 plus 16. So it will be 24 microfarad. So the expected answer to be marked is option D. So next is with respect to RLC series circuit, which has a quality factor and resonant frequency, we need to calculate the bandwidth. Okay, bandwidth is given by resonant frequency in the numerator, and in the denominator is quality factor. Okay, if we can apply this formula, then we will get to know that the bandwidth is 0.2 radians per second. Option is D. Let us look into the next question, friends. For a symmetrical network. So this is with respect to two-port networks. Now, even though it is given over here only for symmetrical, but try to understand if it is a reciprocal one, it will be H12 equal to minus of H21 if the network is reciprocal. Whereas if the network is symmetrical, then the behavior of the circuit will be H11 H22 minus H12 H21 is equal to 2. Whereas if it is a reciprocal lossless network, if the network is reciprocal and lossless network, then these two parameters, that is H12 and H21, they are real. And similarly, the other two parameters, that is H11 and H22, they are purely imaginary. Okay, so H12, H21 they are real, and H11, H22 they are purely imaginary. Now, with this sort of explanation, we can mark the behavior of a circuit for a symmetrical network. It will be option D, which is H11, H22 is equal to minus H12, H21 equal to 1. Let's look into the next and last question for this part of the series. So what has been asked is, we have to calculate the energy. We have to calculate the amount of energy stored in an inductor. Let us look into the different approaches for this. So for inductor, we need to use the formula that energy stored is given by half Li squared. If it is capacitor, then it is the energy stored is given by half CV squared, right? Now, since it is with respect to the energy stored in an inductor, as per the question, it is half Li squared, which is 0.1 into I square, which is 6 squared. The solution expected 1 by 2 into 0.1 into 36. Okay, so that it will be 3.6 divided by 2, which is 1.8 joules. Okay, the expected and correct answer for this is option D, 1.8 joules. Okay friends, thank you all for your patience watching of this video. So in part 2 of video, we'll come out with more solutions for this particular question paper, that is 2019 PGCET, and it is very helpful for the aspirants of AE exam for KPTCL 2020. Thank you and